Hello, I'm Hamish, a PhD student from the Department of Plant Sciences at the University of Cambridge. For an entry into Fight Club, I'd like to present Hibiscadelphus distans, which is a plant which is native to the Hawaiian island of Kauai, which is where Jurassic Park was filmed. The geographical location of islands means they're often home to species found nowhere else in the world. These species have had time to evolve to suit the ecological niches in which they find themselves, and they're referred to as endemic, meaning they're confined to a particular area. There are about 8 species of Hibiscadelphus, and they're all small trees. The first was only discovered about 100 years ago, probably because it was already rare back then. They're related to hibiscus flowers, but instead of opening out flat, they form a tube. And they're pollinated by honey creeper birds. Just like Darwin's finches, these birds have evolved a range of beak shapes to make best use of the various food sources on the islands of Hawaii. But, like with so many species, these plants are threatened because of human activity. Several hundred years ago, Polynesian settlers brought rats, which eat the tree's seeds, and this means they can't reproduce so well. Then, in the 1820s, Europeans accidentally introduced mosquitoes bearing avian flu, which killed quite a lot of the honey creepers, affecting the tree's pollination. By the 1980s, there were only 2 populations of Hibiscadelphus distans remaining, comprising about 50 plants. One of them was destroyed in a landslide in 1989, and the other one was destroyed by a storm in 1992. And there are about 10 reintroduced plants in the wild. There are examples in botanic gardens around the world, including one in the glasshouses in Cambridge. Of the other species, at least 4 are extinct, including a couple only known from one specimen, and there were fewer than 100 or so of the other species. So why should we bother saving it? As a plant, it doesn't really have that much decorative interest. Most of the honey creepers which eat from it are dead. It doesn't produce useful timber, and we don't really know of any medicines or useful compounds which come from it. So shouldn't we focus our attention on more useful plants? The trouble is, what we think of as useful now isn't the full picture. Plant scientists and botanists are constantly making new discoveries which change what useful means. A weedy-looking thing may have a particular genetic capacity to survive in drought, which would be useful to transfer into crops. Or a rare jungle plant might produce a protective chemical which just happens to be brilliant at treating cancer. And it's not always as simple as that. The leaves of an uninteresting shrubby tree may be the only food for an insect, which itself is the main food for an endangered bird, which in turn is important for spreading seeds of another tree. Removing components of an ecosystem can mean that the ecosystem will change in unexpected ways, which may result in further extinctions and potentially runaway change. That's why the work done at Cambridge Botanic Garden and in the thousands of botanic gardens around the country is so important. As well as providing plants for research, they're also a resource for biologists working to conserve plants all around the world. It's considerations like this which have gone into making the living collection strategy for the Botanic Garden, which you can find on their website. It's really worth a read to get a better picture of what a botanic garden like ours at Cambridge is actually for. And who knows, maybe the pollen from our Hibiscadelphus distans will be used to pollinate flowers in another botanic garden, helping make seeds which can be used to regenerate the wild population. We'll have to wait and see.